Hi there, geography fans. Today we're going to be talking about relief. Relief comes from the word levo, which means to rise. The ancients had to grapple with this question. If we're going to draw a map, how are we going to represent a landscape that is not flat on something that is flat, a piece of paper? In other words, how are we going to represent a three-dimensional landscape on a two-dimensional piece of paper? How are we going to make it rise from the landscape? And so they came up with this idea of contours. Now, contours are lines that join places of equal height. So everywhere along a particular contour is of the same height. So if I show you this contour map over here, everywhere along this line over here is 100 meters above sea level. Everywhere along that line over there is 200 meters above sea level. So, everywhere along that particular line is the same height above sea level. Now, all this will come into context in a minute. There's two further concepts. The index contours are the red and the black ones. These are the bolder ones, generally darker, generally in multiples of 100, and they're labeled because it's impossible to label every single contour on a normal map. The contour interval, as indicated by the green, is the difference in height between each contour. So if we had to have a look at this, if this is 100 and that is 200, what do you imagine this one would be? I would imagine that it is 120, 140, 160, 180. Those are called the contour intervals. In other words, every 20 meters, every contour represents a change of height of 20 meters. So the contour interval is 20 meters. Every time there's a contour, it means that there's a change of height, either up the slope or down the slope of 20 meters. So in conclusion, today we've just spoken about contours, and we've spoken and said that they are lines that join places of equal height. You have index contours, which are generally labeled, usually in multiples of 100. They're darker and a bolder line. And the contour interval is the difference in value or altitude between each contour. Thanks guys, enjoy the rest. Bye-bye.